House is a mess. Grom is asleep. When he's tired, he gets bags. He looks like a literal crack addict. Today, I wanted to run over my journey in fitness. The reason I want to go over it is because there were so many things within it that I think people are going to be able to relate to. Let's take it back to my childhood where I kind of got into sport as a whole. So from the age of 8, I started figure skating. This was the beginning of pushing my body to the extreme, taking a sport very seriously, training around 6 days a week by this point, 6 days on the ice, 2 or 3 days off the ice training. It was just very intense from a young age. So I skated from the age of 8 to 15. It was my whole entire life growing up, but it also introduced me to things like cardio. I would run a lot. We would do training like burpees, crunches, would do pistol squats, all things like that from the age of 8 I was introduced to. And then at around 10, a food diary was introduced. This, looking back, is absolutely mad because I don't remember actually learning much besides that what I ate was awful. I would train so much that it would hit about 9 o'clock and I'd get a McDonald's because I needed a second dinner because I was so hungry. And then I'd wake up early, 3:30 to skate again, and I'd want to eat again. So I had no real relationship with food because I just ate when I was hungry, which is how it should be as a kid. It was nice. But what it did mean when like food diaries and things were introduced, I think maybe I started to get confused by food. And I don't think it harmed me, but looking back, it was just a strange way to be introduced to food from a young age. Like, you just eat a biscuit when you're a kid. You don't think about that biscuit being a biscuit. I don't know if that makes sense. I competed internationally as a figure skater. I podiumed at 12 separate international competitions and I absolutely loved it. But I hit about 15, 16 and I decided it wasn't for me anymore. I didn't want a career in it, didn't see much money in it. So I just quit cold turkey. And when you've had something filling your time 24/7 and suddenly you have nothing filling your time, I started doing what every 16-year-old does and started going out. From ages 15 to 18, I was very confused as to who I was as a person. I guess that's most teenagers, but I lacked any sort of passion, any drive, because skating had gone. I did no exercise then. I drank a lot, I smoked a little bit, I thought I was a really cool kid. And then university hit. All my friends went to university. I expected to go to the university, and I didn't. I just decided to get a job instead. I started working in a field I actually wanted to work in, but all my friends were at university having a great time. So I went even heavier with drinking, heavier with smoking, doing all these stupid things because I was filling a bit of a void. At this point, there'd been no training, nothing to do with my health, not caring in the slightest. But at 19 years old, I started my own business. This is when I looked at myself and thought, how do you expect to do well in life when your body isn't even well? I entirely quit smoking. I started getting up at 5:30, doing cardio. I wanted to feel good in myself so that when I worked, I felt motivated, I felt good, I could go to client meetings and actually feel proud of who I was. However, this turned into something very interesting. I started doing cardio and I look back and I definitely think I had some form of addiction there. I would run a marathon or more a week and I felt guilty if I didn't. I'd get up at 5:30 and I would run and run and run. And I really wasn't eating enough. So my body was tiny. I was unbelievably skinny. And I remember at one point I started using my Fitness Pal. This is something which I think a lot of YouTubers talk about in a way of calorie counting. And I just went on a calorie calculator and it told me that for my size, 1,350 calories was enough. Stupidly, I thought that was right. I would run 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 miles a day and eat that amount of calories. My body was destroyed. I couldn't concentrate, I couldn't focus, I couldn't do any of it. And I was insecure. I was back to the beginning again. So I did what I feel like everyone does, and I went on YouTube for some answers. I heard people talking about food and how it should fuel you, cardio and how it should be helping your heart health, not just a way to lose weight, and then weight training. I was introduced to weight training and I really fell in love with it. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I felt a little bit of me having that drive for a sport back like I did with ice skating. However, I'd never stepped into a gym in my life and I was terrified of it. So I started training at home and I think everyone's done that. They buy some dumbbells or something like that or a bench and they train at home because they're so insecure. And those videos still make me laugh to this day because I had no experience whatsoever, but I was loving it and that's all that matters. I was building my confidence to finally step into a gym. And around 2 years ago today, I did step into a gym. But even still, the first year was rocky. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was switching between training programs constantly. I didn't know how the machines worked. I didn't know how much I could potentially lift. I didn't know about rep ranges, none of that. But I I felt comfortable in a gym, and I think that's the most important thing, being able to step into a gym and feel comfortable, and that can take some time. I would say the last year has been the first time that my training's actually been serious. And I think that's down to just being happy in life. I'm happy in my new house. I've got Grom, like, come on, look at him. He's the cutest thing ever. I'm in a good relationship. Everything in my life feels nice and good and comfortable. So I can focus on training, and I'm not using it as a way to fix things. I'm not using it as a control thing. I'm using it as a way to feel good about myself. But if you watch my previous video about the mistakes that I'd made along the way, where I am now is only starting to feel better because I'm eating more, I'm eating a lot, and I feel more energized. I'm training consistently, but I'm also having rest days, like all these things. And I think that's what's important about like a whole journey when you're wanting to train, you're wanting to do weight training, finding what you're comfortable with, experimenting. I'm definitely not hitting PRs every single week. I'm definitely probably don't have great form in certain areas. So there's so many things that I want to learn, and from people that I admire and that I'm friends with, that I continue to learn from. But the journey up until now has allowed that. But my journey's been interesting, to say the least. And I want to continue documenting that journey because I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know how my training is going to be. I don't know if I'm ever going to compete. I don't know. But make sure you stick around for the journey. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a big fat like. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe already. Also, let me know in the comments if you can relate to any of this. Like, did you grow up doing a certain sport and then you quit and then you had like this big hole in your life? Or were you a cardio addict? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.